Hello everybody, it is me, the Phenomenal Critic, and guys, before I even get this review started, I just gotta get this cracked open. First of all, guys, fact. Zack Snyder's Watchmen movie, awesome comic book movie. Fact. Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, awesome comic book movie. Fact number 2, technically 3. Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, awesome comic book movie. Fact. Again, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight Rises, awesome movie. The top most best fact of them all, The Avengers, best film of 2012. Now, I just have to say one thing about all these films. Man of Steel knocks these out of the park like a professional baseball player knocks a curveball at a home run. Yes, Man of Steel beats The Avengers. Bring the hate mail. First of all, I'm just going to say, I love The Avengers movie. Best comic book film of 2012. Until DC Universe, along with Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan, hits the field, hits center field with the baseball bat, hits the curveball out of the park. Yes, Man of Steel is so freaking awesome, it beats the Avengers by a curveball, ladies and gentlemen. A curveball. Awesome movie. So let's get things started. First of all, let's just talk about how they did this movie. Christopher Nolan went back to his roots about how he did Batman Begins, showing from Bruce at one minute as an adult and another minute as a kid. In this movie, Christopher Nolan has the balls. This is how good he is at writing this stuff. The movies he writes actually are believable. That's the thing. This movie starts out with Krypton as Kal-El's mother is giving birth to him. And this is the very first natural birth of Krypton in centuries. But, unfortunately, Krypton is dying. The core has become unstable. And so they all know that Krypton is going to die. General Zod, however, wants to go to another planet and just rebuild Krypton. But no other Kryptonian wants to destroy life except Zod and his minions. So, naturally, Zod doesn't like the fact that no one wants to take his idea into consideration. Zod goes all homicidal. Kal-El and Zod have a big fight. I was like, oh, yeah, this is so amazing. And so, basically, Jor-El is basically trying to get to his son Kal-El before they send him away to Earth. The reason that they are sending Kal-El off to Earth is because they know that Krypton is going to die, and they want to give their son a chance to live. And the universe that they have given him, Jor-El basically says, his mother says, he's going to be an outcast. No, he'll be like a god to them. And the way how they built Jor-El and his mother, I forget what his mother's name is. I think it's Nora or something like that. But, sorry. The fact that these characters were done so well. And the person who played General Zod, I don't even know what his name is, but I have seen him before. And he has that crazy, yeah, I'm all freaking homicidal, I'm psychotic. When I first seen General Zod, I was like, I know that guy. I've seen him before. Holy crap, he played Lex's brother in Smallville. Yeah, of course, so I don't know how much Smallville has to do with Superman, so I'm not going to quote anything. But just knowing, this guy did a phenomenal job as Zod. I mean, holy crap, this guy's freaking intimidating and psychotic. So yeah, they're getting ready to launch, and so they basically have everything all set up for Kal-El. They have a ship, and how they're saying their final goodbyes to their son as Zod stabs Jor-El, and they're trying to stop Kal-El's ship from blasting off. But a bunch of the people from Krypton, a bunch of the officers finally catch General Zod and finally put him under trial, under court, and they put him in that frozen containment, and like the trailer says, I will find your son. I will find him! Bone chilling. And so then we get to Clark. It doesn't take him to his childhood yet. we see him as one of those people on Deadliest Catch, and as they're going by an oil rig and it's about to explode. So Clark, or they don't know what his name is yet, but yeah, Clark basically jumps off, saves people, and then vanishes. And whenever he uses his powers, it takes him back to his childhood. It takes him back to how when they first found him, when Clark was a kid, he hid inside the closet because I guess how Christopher Nolan's universe of this, on Krypton they couldn't use their powers because of the sun or something like that, so they couldn't use their powers. They couldn't use their powers on the planet. So when they get down, when Kryptonians are down on Earth, I guess it takes a restraint off them, and their abilities are allowed to grow, but they have to focus. And so Clark's in the closet, and he can hear everything. I mean everything. And this guy's head, I mean this is like Spider-Man when Venom's near him, and his Spidey sense is about to blow out of his freaking brain. I mean and Clark's like in the closet all freaking out. And so the teacher said, "I've called your mom," and his mom comes, and his mom's like. He's like, "The world's too big, Mom." She's like, "Well, make it small." And the woman who plays Martha Kent, she does a great job. Her kindness, her gentleness, her mother, the way how she was acting like Martha Kent. She was a good Martha Kent. The way how she sounded, the way how she was Martha Kent. She is growing into this character, and I cannot wait to see how well she's going to develop as Martha Kent in the next Man of Steel movie. Spoiler already, yes, there is going to be another one. But, how she says, "Focus on my voice. Focus on my voice." And then, all of a sudden, everything goes quiet. Everything goes quiet. And so then... I can't remember if he worked... all the jobs that he basically did... It always ends up him vanishing after something goes wrong. Whether it was the oil rig, then there was the time when the woman who plays Lois Lane, I forget her name, but she did a really amazing job too, as she is brought to, they find, by the way, his Fortress of Solitude is not made of crystals. It's some kind of alien ship, which I know a bunch of Superman fans probably aren't going to like that, but you know what, it definitely makes up for it. Because... I mean, it looks almost a lot like the Fortress of Solitude, just without the crystals. And so, you know, they find the Fortress of Solitude deep within the ice. And when Clark picks up Lois's stuff and takes it to the tent, you know, they meet each other, but they don't meet each other. Like, they run into each other. And so all of a sudden, late at night, oh, by the way, the guy who plays in Law and Order Special Crimes Unit, he's in this movie. That guy's freaking awesome. He's a phenomenal freaking actor. I love that guy. He says to Lois, walks into her place where she's supposed to live, like, "Where'd I go to the bathroom?" There's a coffee can right there. Bill Engvall joke. "I gotta pee. There's a coffee can. Wake up." So yeah, she decides to go out and take some pictures. And then she notices someone is walking to go look at that. And she's like, "Where are you going?" So she follows him. She follows him into the Fortress of Solitude, basically. Oh, I forgot to... Dang it, I keep going off. All the other times when they revert him back to as a kid, and all the other times he saved people, back when he was in school and he was on the bus, you know, people were picking on him, and then all of a sudden, the bus goes in the river, and everyone thinks they're going to drown. Clark opens the door and dives in, and we even get a Lana Lang reference. I didn't think they were going to show Lana in this movie, but they did. People were picking on Clark, and Lana was like, "Leave him alone," and then Clark, when the bus wrecks, Clark goes out, and he lifts the bus out, and then Lana's looking at him like, "What the heck did you just do?" And then he's just like, he goes back into the water and saves the bus driver. And then he's sitting down at his house at the swing that he always used to sit in, and when we get the part of the trailer where it's like, my son was in the bus, he saw what Clark did. And they developed the friendship between Pete, who was picking on him, and Clark. And in Smallville, Pete was black, but you know what, and I don't know if Pete really even existed in the Superman universe. But they established the friendship of how they were saying they seen what Clark can do, and like how everyone's like, well, everyone fantasizes something, you know, when they're scared, and how it messes with the brain and everything. Like, no, we seen what he did. And so then, like, how Jonathan Kent, the guy who played Jonathan Kent, did a really good job of Jonathan Kent as well. Everyone in this movie did a great job. And how he was like, son, we've talked about this. We've talked about how you can't show your abilities. And Clark was like, well, what am I supposed to do, Dad? Just let them die? And Jonathan was like, maybe. And then he told him, like, how we get in the trailer, you just got to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be. Whether that be good or bad, you're going to change the world. And he's like, do you think if the world found out who you really were, that they would be ready? Do you think they would be able to accept you? And when Clark is in the Fortress of Solitude, we get this teleportation thing that was kind of like a teleportation phone. And the first time it sees Clark, like, he rips the thing to shreds because of his strength. He just, like, he gets rid of it. And then Lois Lane's snooping around, she's taking pictures. The thing grabs her. He gets it, and he just smushes the thing. And then, they start talking, and he finds where he gets the suit. I honestly didn't know how he got the suit in the comics, but in this, they already left the suit there for him. All the clothes on Krypton looked a lot like the Superman suit, but they weren't the same colors. Jor-El's was gray, and Zod even has one, but it doesn't look like the Superman suit. It looks like something Zod would wear. And you find out what the S on his chest means. And I honestly didn't know this. I thought the S stood for Superman, but when Lois is talking to him in the prison and saying, what's with the S? He's like, it's not an S. On my planet, it means hope. She's like, well, here it looks like an S. But so anyway, Lois and Clark developed this friendship. They really do. They developed a friendship already. And when, Clark starts developing his powers, I hope that did not just show that on camera. When Clark's starting to use his powers, he can't control them. The first time you use the powers, you're always going to mess up. It's actually kind of funny. I honestly thought it was funny how when he first started to fly, it was like when Peter Parker and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, when the very first time he web swung, he messed up. And when he flies, he crashes. I was like, heh heh. And, when he gets a Superman suit, the first time he flies, he crashes. But the second time he does it, he's listening to the words of his the message left by his father. His father left him a message in the fortress. And the next time he just, gets down on his knees and is listening, all of a sudden, BAM! He just flies off. And, every part of this movie was great. The acting was great. The story was great. Just, Christopher Nolan really went back to his roots when he did Batman Begins. Taking it from one part when Bruce was an adult and taking it from his past as a kid and then bringing him to now. And so then, when Lois is wanting to tell the story, her editor says, no one's going to believe this. Just get rid of it. Then she goes to Jimmy, her sidekick, I guess, in the comics, who was, whenever Clark wasn't around. He gets the thing published. And, people are threatening to sue her. And, so she's wanting to find Clark and wanting to tell him how grateful she is, but she's like, how do you find someone who's spent all their lives trying to disappear? You go back to his roots. She went back to every job he was at and asked about him, and they told him different stuff, and then she finally finds him. She finds him at his house, and then they start talking, and then the best part is probably one of the best parts of the movie is when General Zod comes in. Man, when General Zod comes, they're like, oh my gosh. Oh, the other thing. When Clark surrenders, they don't take him in. They don't bring him down because it's freaking Superman. You can't take him down. He surrenders to show, I am not a threat. I am not here to kill you. I am not here to do anything except to help you. That is exactly what I'm here to do. And I will even surrender myself to prove to you that I am here to help, not to destroy. And, he's flying there, and, he just gets down, and then he just lets them take him. And so then when him and Lois are in there, and the Colonel starts talking, he's like, I'll let you take me because I'm here to show you that I am not here to harm you. I am here to help. I am here to save you. And he just breaks the handcuffs. He's just like, okay, first of all, let's get rid of these. And then, all of a sudden, the TV starts messing up. It just starts... And then Zod says, 1,000 times on the TV, you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. And then all of a sudden, he says, bring me... He does a voicemail thing. Bring me Kal-El. Oh, wait a minute. No, sorry. Zod makes a recording over the whole Earth saying, bring me Kal-El and I will spare your Earth. So that's why he surrenders, because he wants to save the Earth. So Zod's people comes down, and he's like, we were supposed to deliver you the alien, not the girl. So they take Lois as well. She can't breathe, of course, so they give her this thing that helps her breathe. And then when Superman starts fighting, they beat the living tar out of him. I mean, to have a Superman film where Superman just doesn't dominate the bad guy every time, to have an experienced Superman get the butt kicked out of him. And you're wondering, oh man, this is good because he's not that good yet. He hasn't developed his strength. He hasn't developed his powers. But when Zod is talking to Clark in his mind, when they do something to him, when they take him to the ship, he starts going weird. He starts freaking out. And Lois is like, what's wrong with him? And it's like, he's lived on Earth so long, he hasn't gotten used to our, I guess you could say our pressure, or the way how Krypton is different from Earth. And it makes him freak out. And I think he starts coughing blood or something like that, and he passes out. And then he's talking to Zod in his mind, how Zod is wanting to do nothing but protect and bring back Krypton. And he doesn't care how he does it. That's what Zod was trained to do. Zod was trained to battle, kill, destroy, and protect Krypton by any means necessary. And he doesn't understand that Krypton, its time is over. He doesn't want to accept that. He wants to bring Krypton back. And, so that's one of the main reasons why they're such big enemies. He wants to rebuild Krypton, and he wants Clark to stand by. He wants Clark to do it with him, to not abandon his race. But Clark keeps telling him, Krypton had its time. Krypton is done. And so we get the epic fight between Zod and Clark, and when Clark damages Zod's helmet, he gets the effects of never being on Earth and of his abilities just going rampant. Like the headache and hearing everything. And even the heat vision. One of the other things about Clark's strength, when he was a little kid, he was getting beat up, and he held on to the pole, and he gripped it as hard as he could, and when Pete comes and helps him up, it was dented. And Clark was saying to Jonathan, he was like, Dad, I really wanted to hit them. I wanted to hit them. I wanted to beat them up. And he said, I know, but you know that you can't do that. You can't do that. You have to control yourself, son. You have to control your abilities. And so he eventually learns how to control them. And the most tearing thing is when Clark and Jonathan Kent and Martha Kent, they're all in the back. Clark is yelling at him for, the fact that he's not human. And he hates not being human. He hates not being normal. And he was like, you guys were never my parents. You just found me in a field. And then, they notice a tornado is coming. And so Martha and Clark go to help all the people. And then Jonathan is going back to go get their dog. And Clark knows he can save his dad. But Jonathan just says no. And we watched Jonathan just disappear. I cried. I mean, that was a tear-jerking moment to the person that helped Clark, and that you loved this character. You loved this Jonathan Kent. And to see him die, it's a real tear-jerker. And, it makes you want to cry. And all the fights between how the cops keep trying to bring down Zod's men, and Zod's men are like, please. And so then Zod beats the living crap out of Clark, and then they decide, okay, we're gonna bring back Krypton. We don't care. We're gonna bring Krypton back. So they get these really big things that Zod and his men were captive in. Oh, and something else I didn't talk about, how Zod got free. I didn't even know how Zod got free. I was like, wait, he was frozen. They explained Zod got freed from his prison when Krypton was destroyed. So they were floating in space for thousands of years. Or for, I don't know how many years. And so that's how they're unfrozen. Because when Krypton was destroyed, their prison was broke free. So, when we get the fights, the very first fight between Zod and Clark is freaking awesome. Clark's inexperienced, so Zod's naturally just beating the living crap out of him, like Bane against Batman for the first time. But this time, Superman doesn't get his back broken like Bruce did. But anyway, then we get more fights with this woman and this other guy. And, they beat the living tar out of Clark, but then Clark beats the living tar out of them. And then finally, when Lois is in the Fortress of Solitude again because Zod was wanting to say a natural goodbye and pay its respects to his friend. Jor-El was his friend. And so then when Jor-El's spirit is talking to Lois and telling him how to stop it, what they're going to do is take Clark's ship and fire it into the middle of the portal thing. One is on one side of the Earth in Metropolis, and the other is on the other side of the Earth, and they're doing this beam through the Earth to destroy Krypton, and to destroy the Earth and bring back Krypton. And we have Lois's boss and Lois's friends from the Daily Planet. They're all trapped and trying to get out. And so, eventually, they do get it fired because, oh, and by the way, how he activates the Fortress of Solitude, it's this little tiny thing from Krypton. That's what Zod was coming for. He was honestly just coming to get Clark and to get the Fortress of Solitude, which I forget what they call it. But one part of it is the Genesis Chamber, and that's where this little key thing goes. And when they shove it in, it fires and it destroys it. Oh, by the way, major spoilers. When they're bringing in tanks to destroy this thing, one of the tanks says LexCorp on it. I was like, yes, LexCorp. Dang it. So Lex is mentioned, and you know that he's going to be in the next movie. And the fight, the final fight between Zod and Superman is just freaking epic. We get how Zod finally adapts to Earth, and we're getting these awesome fights. This just plain freaking awesome. And when he throws Zod into space and destroys a satellite, it says Wayne Enterprises on it. I was like, Batman reference. So yeah. Clark beats Zod, and, Zod was like, we could have saved Krypton. I was like, no, Krypton had its chance, and he kills Zod. And so then we get the end of the movie of how Clark signs up for the Daily Planet. But the only thing that I actually kind of didn't like was the fact that she already knows that Clark's Superman. In the comics, she didn't know he was Superman yet. She did not know. The glasses and everything, she didn't know. But in this movie, she already knows. Other than that, this movie was great. Epic story. The characters, the drama, the passion, all the people who played in this movie loved what they were doing. The person who played Superman looked like Superman, acted like Clark. The kid who played Clark acted like him, was a great Clark. All these characters, all these people were great. I honestly think that this is the opening to a new Batman series, not the Justice League yet. I think if they are going to do Justice League, they're going to build up Batman first and then build up the rest of them. Well, guys, this is the Phenomenal Critic. This is my review of Man of Steel. I give this movie 4.5 out of 5 stars. Actually, no, let me change it. I give this a 5-star rating. A 5-star rating. That's a lot saying. This is the best movie of the summer. If not, probably one of the best comic book films we're going to get this year. Probably the best. Like I said, I honestly think that this knocks Avengers out of the park with a curveball. Guys, click and subscribe. Tell me what you thought of Man of Steel. Tell me exactly how much you're going to freaking hate me for saying that I thought Man of Steel was better than the Avengers. I'm the Phenomenal Critic, guys. Have a good night.